All right, good afternoon. Happy race day. It's Andrew here with Fast Cars, Fast Money. As always, a few hours before the slate lock, so still some time to get the video out. So I appreciate everyone hanging out and being present here. So for Richmond tonight, you're going to hear tires, tires, tires. Everyone's going to be talking about tires and the fall off. So we have 400 laps tonight. It's going to be relatively a higher scoring slate. Richmond is a short track, so you still want to prioritize lap leaders. You're going to see some guys go on different strategies. Fast laps will kind of get dispersed throughout the field, just depending on who has tires, but should be hopefully a fun race with some passing thanks to all the tire fall off. So when we talk about the driver by driver breakdown, we got Hamlin, Bell, and Blaney up here up top. For me, I'm going to prioritize Blaney and Hamlin here up to. I think Christopher Bell still is a strong option, but we really want to focus on lap leading upside, and I think Ryan Blaney is going to offer a lot of that. So, for starters, he was the quickest on the long run in practice. He was P1 for the 25 and 30 lap averages. Like I said, we typically see a lot of fall off on long runs, so having long run pace is very encouraging. He also starts on the pole. He's been very good on the short flat tracks. There's a lot to like about Ryan Blaney tonight. Hamlin is really good too. In 7 Richmond races, he has 2 wins, 5 top 5s, 6 top 10s, and a series best average finish of 5.7. So he also gives you some place differential upside coming from 14th. So if he is able to get up front, lead some laps with the additional place differential that he offers, I think he's going to project very well. Christopher Bell is on fire, but he keeps finishing second, which you don't really need him to win to score well in DFS. So I like him a lot for tournaments. I just like Hamlin and Blaney a little bit more. I think Blaney has a little bit of an easier path to leading laps. I think Hamlin offers a little bit more place differential upside. And then we got Logano and Gibbs also priced up here too. I like both of them as well too. I think getting some combination of Hamlin, Blaney, Logano, Gibbs, Bell, even Larson here, yeah, I'm really high on all these, top price drivers, but they're priced up high for a reason. So Logano is right behind Blaney in the long run speed and practice, which is very good to see. He was P2 in the 25 and 30 lap averages. If you look at Richmond, he also has 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and 7 Richmond races. The series, I think second or third best average finish of 8.4 gives you a little bit of place differential. He's a little bit cheaper than Denny Hamlin as well too. Can't count out Ty Gibbs. He's been arguably the best driver on the short tracks this year. He won at Bristol. He just won at Iowa. More of a tournament play, I would say, starting fourth, but, he's priced up in the 10K range for a reason. Larson, I'm going to be high on. He has really struggled as of late, which is certainly a concern. However, if we look at practice, he was P2 in the 5 and 20 lap and actually P1 in the 15 lap averages. So that's great. And yeah, this is the driver. He ranks second behind Hamlin with a 7.9 average finish at Richmond. He has 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 5 top 10s over the 7 races. And coming all the way from 30th, he gives you a lot of place differential upside. So I really like Larson. For those reasons as well too. I think everyone's going to play Blaney. So if you're looking for a, contrarian lap leader, it's hard to count out any of the JGR cars. Literally all 4 of them are top 6 in points right now. Briscoe starts right there. So, for whatever reason, if Blaney doesn't have a clean start or has an issue, Briscoe is right there to take over and lead some laps. I'm really not getting to these Hendrick cars of Byron and Elliott. Hendrick's been struggling as of late. Byron showed good pace at Iowa, relatively speaking, but with how strong he was in previous Iowa races, I thought he was going to be a little bit better. Coming into Richmond, it's not as strong of a track for him. 13th place average finish here with only 1 top 5 finish. Practice times were mid-pack. So just with me being so high on everyone, above him, it's hard for me to click on Byron. Reddick is kind of a cheaper Larson, I would say, but Reddick's numbers are not nearly as good as Larson's. Reddick historically has really struggled at Richmond. He is also, like Larson, on quite the summer slump right now. Does give you some good place differential upside, like Larson does, coming here from 32nd. But his practice times were decent. They were top 10 for the 5, 10, and 15 lap averages, and he gives you, $700 price savings over Larson there. So I don't mind him. Has a place differential play. Elliott, I'm not really getting to. Average place finish around 14th for him over these 7 Richmond races. And like I said, Hendrick's just been kind of struggling a little bit. His practice times weren't really that good. Bubba Wallace, kind of a tough starting spot, starting in 7th. Again, his Richmond numbers aren't that good, relatively speaking. 14.7 average finish with one top 5 in 7 races. So just doesn't really project that well. For whatever reason, Austin Dillon and RCR just seem to get Richmond. You know, they're not necessarily that strong anywhere else, but when for whatever reason, as of late, when we get to Richmond, they are one of the teams to beat. They are literally going for 3 wins in a row, which is crazy to think about. So, for those reasons, it's hard not to, like Austin Dillon. He's probably going to get a little bit of more of a ownership jump this week than he typically does. So, I think Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Carson Hocevar are all really good pivot plays for probably lower ownership off of Austin Dillon. Um, Ross had good pace in practice, top 10 in the 25 and 30 lap averages, 14.7 average finish. Buescher, another kind of a tournament play. He has 1 win here, 15.1 average finish. Hocevar, 16.7. So, Austin Dillon's average finish is 12.3. So, yeah, we're talking like, maybe 4 or 5 spots difference here. But all these guys start further back from Austin Dillon. They're all cheaper too, and I think they're going to come in relatively lower owned. So if you're looking for, some pivot options, I think those make a lot of sense. Keselowski, I think, is a good tournament play. He was top 10 in practice over the 5, 10, 15, and 20 lap averages, one of the better drivers in the field at managing his tires. Backed it up in qualifying too, starting 9th. Also strong numbers here too, with 4 top 10 finishes and 11th place average finish. So there's a lot to like from Keselowski for tournaments for $7,500. That seems like a really good value play. Josh Berry would be a very aggressive tournament play, but his Richmond numbers are very strong. He actually has the 4th best average finish in the field with 8.8, which is only worse than Hamlin, Larson, and Logano. He's only $7,200, starts 3rd. He did finish 4th last week at Iowa, so he could potentially be a lower owned lap leading type of play for tournaments. Cindric was really disappointing last week, despite how strong not only he was in practice, but all of his teammates were too. We're kind of in the same boat here as well, where Penske looks really good. And so does Cindric. I mean, he was P1 in the 10 and 20 lap averages, offers some good place differential upside, but the race pace last week is definitely a concern if he doesn't, if that relatively slower pace carries over tonight. Short flat tracks are usually where we want to play Ryan Preece, but starting 6th, a little far forward for me. And for whatever reason, this team is really just struggling a little bit, at Richmond. Alex Bowman was top 5 in practice over the 5, 10, 15, and 20 lap averages. Only $6,700 starting 25th. That's a good price tag and good place differential upside with those types of practice numbers. Yes, he's not been as good of late, neither has Hendrick in general, but he has a 14.4 average finish here over 7 races. So it's nearly 10 spots better, or it is 10 spots better than, where he starts. So I will take that. Suarez kind of struggled last week at Iowa, which was a disappointment. I thought he was going to do a lot better. His Richmond numbers suggest he probably finishes around where he starts. SVG ran that truck race earlier today, which certainly helps him. Didn't qualify that good, which kind of stinks, but his practice times were top 10. So it's a good pace for a driver that's cheap, starts deep, is fighting for a chase spot. So I like him. Zilich starts a little bit too far forward for me. Michael McDowell, again, I'm kind of relying on practice numbers really for Bowman, SVG, and McDowell, but mostly for McDowell. He was top 5 across the 5, 10, 15, and 20 lap averages. Good speed for a driver this cheap. The only concern with McDowell is his Richmond numbers aren't that great. 20.7 average finish, whereas Bowman and SVG are around 14th, which is, much better than McDowell's. Jones, if you're making the argument for those guys, I think you could make the same argument for Eric Jones. A little bit less place differential upside than Michael McDowell, probably going to be relatively low owned, but his practice times are pretty strong. So, if you're building multiple lines, you're trying to just find little one-off drivers to sprinkle in with your core plays. I don't mind clicking on Eric Jones. Um, a lot of this 5K range, I'm just really not getting to AJ, Zane Smith, John Hunter Nemechek, Todd Gill, and Ricky Stenhouse. I just think they're not going to move forward or they're probably going to drop back. Herbst, maybe, you know, risky tournament play. He was P1 in the 5 lap average, which is something. But if you look at the other practice metrics, they were still around, 10th place or so. So he doesn't give you the place differential upside that these cheaper punt plays do, but his practice times were much better than those other plays. So I think he's in play for tournaments. If Austin Dillon's really good here, maybe that team can bring those similar types of setups over to Austin Hill to help him out. Starts deep, decent place differential upside. I think Noah Gregson, Cole Custer, and Ty Dillon are kind of all in the same boat where they just are cheap punt plays. Like you're not really expecting much out of them. They all either have average finishes or practice times that suggest they should be able to move forward. And they're so cheap that it allows you to kind of stack those top plays that we talked about up top. And with 400 laps, you're really going to want to get those lap leaders in your line. So I'd much rather be a little bit more aggressive and maybe play an extra lap leading type of play and hope that I nail those lap leaders than trying to, build the perfect line. And I think punting all the way down here increases your chances of landing on that lap leader. So I'm not really going to get to Cody Ware, Josh Bilickley. Typically we don't see that many cautions here. So that's going to do it for the Richmond race. I know just a few hours left, so hopefully this is still helpful, still valuable for you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out, being part of the channel. If you guys want access to the spreadsheet, it's over on X. It's at FastCarsFM. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy your race, and we'll catch you next week.